Mhm. As you're coming on, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. This is Mike Cook coming to you live. I'll probably introduce myself again in a minute. I hope you got a steaming hot cup of coffee. Look at that steam coming off that sucker. On this beautiful, snowy day in central Missouri. It's a wonderful day. As people start coming on, say hi, where you're watching from. I'd appreciate it. Look, if you're watching my video on Facebook or the YouTubes, because I'm live on both right now, please like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that it says. That does help me. And let me tell you that Facebook and YouTube is squashing my view. They're not organically spreading this. So the only way that this gets out there is if you share it to somebody. That's the only way. So, or share it on your page or wherever, because they don't like dissent anymore. We are not an open exchange of ideas. They squash it. So if you're jumping on, please, if you're watching this in the rerun, please, like I said, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, subscribe, follow, like, comment, all the works. That helps. That helps build interest. You know, they are a business and they do like making money, and they, you know, they'll put ads on here. They won't monetize me, but they'll put ads on here and make money off of you. But anyways, this is my Rumble account. Everything gets loaded up to Rumble. Please go over to Rumble and at least watch some of the videos. If you want to watch it again, you're like, hey, I saw you live, but I want to watch again because I didn't catch something. Go over to Rumble later this afternoon after I load it up and watch it there. Rumble's the best. It's the freest. So go over there and check it out. There's my Parler. If Parler ever comes back up. There's my MeWe. And there's my UB-Tubes. So, how y'all doing today? It's Mike Cook coming to you live from out my front door, snowy central Missouri. That's right. We are in the midst of a Arctic dark winter. And I tell everybody, it's January. So like it's going to snow like winter blast, scary winter blast. I'm surprised they haven't named this storm yet. That's another show for another time where I talk about how they change things. More named storms than ever before. That's because you're naming more storms than ever before. But hey, you know, I'm old enough to remember when they only named hurricanes, but now they name every storm that come across. Anyways, that's another story. I don't want to get into that, but here I am. So as you're jumping on, like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, wherever your platform you're watching on. If you don't, the word doesn't get out there. Somebody may need, I try to keep everything I do encouraging, and that's where I'm going to try to go with today. I'm going to have some fun because there's some fun stuff happening, and I like happening fun stuff. So as we're jumping on, I do appreciate it. Make sure you got yourself a nice warm cup of coffee. Got the steam coming off there just the way I like it, hot and black. Take a big swig of that and get you going in the morning. Life without coffee isn't life at all, I dare say. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about, first of all, I don't know. Ooh, my light just fell over. I don't know what the deal is, but this is the seventh day in a row. Somebody's out in the street. I'm watching on the camera. Somebody's out in the street in front of my shop doing donuts. That looks like fun. It's a snowy day here in central Missouri. Anyways, this is the White House, and it's dark again. I don't know what that means, but it's like several days in a row, they've been shutting the lights off at night. Somebody probably ought to pay the light bill. I'm just saying. We are $30 trillion in debt, but hey, I mean, you borrow it from somewhere, borrow it from China, something, pay the light bill. I don't know what's going on with that. So some stuff started breaking this morning. I just found interesting. Just so they're talking about masks, and I just want to kind of first let me just play this audio clip. I don't have video today because my wife's not with me, and I'm still setting up my studio where I can run two computers at the same time. But let me just play this audio clip real quick. Let me pull this down. There we go. So I can jump back and forth a little easier. All right, pull that one down. I apologize. I should have had this set up already. There we go. Now we got her. All right. So I'm going to play this audio clip. This is Joe Biden And maybe you can help me decipher what he says.
We expect these additional 200 million doses to be delivered this summer. And some of it will come begin to come in early summer, but by the midsummer that this vaccine will be there. And the order, and that increases the total vaccine order in the United States by 50%, from 400 million order to 600 million. This is enough vaccine to fully vaccinate 300 Americans by end of the summer, the beginning of the fall. But we want to I want to repeat, it'll be enough to fully vaccinate 300 Americans.
They're gonna fully vaccinate. They're producing millions and billions of vaccines, 600 millions and billions of vaccines, but they're only gonna vaccinate 300 people by the end of. And this guy thinks he's the leader of the free world. But on that note, breaking. After persistent Democratic calls to triple mask, the Republican Party is now taking the historic step to advocate for double masking. Okay. This move comes after serious calls from Republican leaders to reform and become a more inclusive, fact-based party. That's why they're going to go. See, we're only going to double mask. We want a triple mask. We want a quadruple mask. What? Because science-y and all that. We're going to be science. You see this, they say that double mask is 75% efficiency while triple mask is 90% efficiency, meaning 90% of the air doesn't come through because we don't need air or something. I think to sum this whole argument up of how many masks we should wear, I think the Babylon Bee did it the best. It says triple maskers look down on people who only double mask. Okay, I gotta make this big. Health experts are now recommending that people double mask, place a second mask over the first mask, or to better protect themselves from the virus, or maybe to protect themselves from others possibly having the virus. It's still kind of unclear. Many are denouncing this recommendation, especially the triple maskers who find it wholly inadequate. That's right. And let's see what else they say. I guess I gotta pull this up so I can see it. I guess I'd only double mask if I really didn't care about killing grandma, said an extremely muffled Mark Carlson, who was wearing 3 masks at once. But having 3 masks on because having 3 masks on because there is an ongoing pandemic and I care. Triple maskers point out that 3 masks are 50% more effective than 2 masks. If the virus somehow makes it past 2 masks, then we're all done for, said Karen Walker. Although her exact words were unclear, as it was hard to hear her through 3 masks, but not if you have a 3rd mask. The virus wasn't expecting that. That's right. The virus wasn't expecting you to have 3 masks on. It was ready to fight through 2, but not 3. Really, I can't see any reason to wear only 2 masks unless you're some kind of misanthrope, which I had to look that word up to understand what it even means, who wants to see everybody die, she added. Not everyone is on board with 3 masks, though, especially quadruple maskers who find 3 masks to be inadequate. But most of them have suffocated to death. I think the Babylon Bee summed this up better than anybody else on the planet. I want to go one step further. I hereby request that Joe Biden sign an executive order that all masks be made out of duct tape, because duct tape is the redneck fix to everything. If you put a duct tape mask on, then the virus can't get through at all. It sticks to the duct tape and you're completely safe. And you can put some kind of political statement with a Sharpie on there to let everybody know what you really think about wearing stupid ass masks. And besides, to get all sciencey and stuff, maybe somebody should tag this guy, gal, thing, whatever it is, all sciencey, the new health and service director, tag him in my post so that they can see that my duct tape mask is the best way to go. And this is not really the most efficient way. The most efficient way is to take the duct tape straight off. My wife used all mine the other day and I can't find it. I'll blame it on her. She'll say, no, I didn't. And just peel it off and just tape it straight to your mouth. Just put it on like that. And if you put one over your nose, you will no longer spread the virus because you'll be dead. Because this guy is not a science gal thing. It is not a science denier. That's right. Remember, not a science denier. Just wanted to point that out to you, the director of the Health and Human Services. So what's really important now is the debate whether or not we double, triple, quadruple masks or masks out of duct tape or whatever. That is the important thing that our government is working on, along with producing 600 million or so doses of a vaccine that's never really been tested. No one knows if it really works, so that at least 300 people can be vaccinated by late summer, early fall, according to our faux president. We are living in some crazy times. Just remember, we are living in some crazy times. I don't know what's going on around here, but we are living in some crazy times. So also yesterday, some interesting things happened that I've found very informative. So Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and have started blasting some of the conspiracy and some of the let me play Ted Cruz and then we'll go from there. Okay. So this is just a minute or so. Ted Cruz on Fox News last night. Now, mind you, I've beat up on Ted Cruz a little bit because he gets on my nerves a little because he is a politician and he can't help himself. But, you know, compared to a lot of the other guys, he's pretty good. So I give it to him when he deserves it. But here's Ted Cruz on Fox News last night.
And the problem, Sean, right now, the people driving the train in the Joe Biden administration and the Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi Congress are the extreme left. The first week in office, what has Joe Biden done? He signed an executive order ending the Keystone Pipeline, destroying 11,000 jobs, 8,000 union jobs with the stroke of a pen. He said, your jobs don't matter. What else have they done? I'll tell you, this first week, it has been quite dismaying seeing Biden nominee after Biden nominee get cozy with China. Explain how. I've asked multiple nominees, will you commit to maintaining the entities list that sanctions companies in China that are using their technology to repress and oppress 1 million Uyghurs to commit horrific human rights violations, and not a single one of those Biden nominees will make that commitment. I think they are preparing to get in bed with China, and that's an extreme agenda. That's not what the American people want.
They're preparing to get in bed with China. That was the play all along. That's why I got my flag up, because we're wholly owned by China. China has given billions of dollars to business entities owned by the President of the United States, son. Think about it. Everything we're going to do is going to be for China. Lock, stock, and barrel. So when you think about the masks, and you think about the vaccines, and you think about China, you have to wonder what the real agenda is here. So anyways, well, these pop-ups popping up on my screen. This is a little bit longer, so bear with me, if you will. But I want you to hear Ron Paul. And Ron Paul's not my favorite. I don't agree with, but you know what? One thing about Ron Paul is he's consistent. You know, he may vote one way or the other, and you may get mad at him because he didn't vote the way you thought he should, or he didn't say what you thought. At least Ron Paul is consistent on who he is, which I respect consistency. Absolutely. If you have a principle, stand on it. The problem is none of these guys have any principles. So Ron Paul, he introduced a bill to dismiss on constitutionality that you can't remove a president from that's no longer president. I mean, he's a private citizen. What are we doing here? So I'm going to let Ron Paul explain it because I think he can do better than I can. So just listen to this clip.
Impeachment is nothing more than a partisan exercise designed to further divide the country. Democrats claim to want to unify the country, but impeaching a former president, a private citizen, is the antithesis of unity. Democrats brazenly appointing a pro-impeachment Democrat to preside over the trial is not fair or impartial and hardly encourages any kind of unity in our country.
Oh, we got a commercial. I apologize.
We're not out here just running out the clock.
I apologize about that. I didn't know a commercial was going to pop up. I said, what's going on here? Facebook and their thieving capitalist commercials. They love capitalism when it suits them. Here we go. Back to it.
Unity is the opposite of this travesty we are about to witness. If we are about to try to impeach a president, where is the Chief Justice? If the accused is no longer president, where is the constitutional power to impeach him? Private citizens don't get impeached. Impeachment is for removal from office, and the accused here has already left office. Hyper-partisan Democrats are about to drag our great country down into the gutter of rancor and vitriol, the likes of which has never been seen in our nation's history. Instead of doing the nation's work with their new majorities in the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, Democrats are wasting the nation's time on a partisan vendetta against a man no longer in office. It's almost as if they have no ability to exist except in opposition to Donald Trump. Without him as their boogeyman, they might have to legislate and to actually convince Americans that their policy prescriptions are the right ones. Democrats are about to do something no self-respecting senator has ever stooped to. Democrats are insisting the election is actually not over, and so they insist on regurgitating the bitterness of the election. This acrimony they are about to unleash has never before been tried. Why? Because calmer heads have typically prevailed in our history and allowed public opinion to cast blame where blame is deserved. This sham of an impeachment will ostensibly ask whether the president incited the reprehensible behavior and violence of January 6th, when he said, "I know everyone here will soon march to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically That night we were assaulted by the crowd. I wasn't sure if we'd
Sorry
survive
about the
even
sound,
with the police
guys.
protection.
Let me back
But
that
no
up.
Democrat, no everyone here will soon.
I'm gonna hold on a second. I didn't realize the sound turned off. That was my fault. I'm sitting here staring at it. You guys are staring at me, and there's no sound. I apologize. I will pull that back, and I'm sitting here staring at this thing going, and you guys are staring at me. Hey, I said Ron Paul. This is Rand Paul for all those that were correcting me in the feed. I apologize. I don't know what's going on here. But let me try this again.
Why? Because calmer heads have typically prevailed in our history and allowed public opinion to cast blame where blame is deserved. This sham of an impeachment will ostensibly ask whether the president incited the reprehensible behavior and violence of January 6th when he said, I know everyone here will soon march to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Peacefully and patriotically, hardly words of violence. But what of Democrat words? What of Democrat incitement to violence? No Democrat will honestly ask whether Bernie Sanders incited the shooter that nearly killed Steve Scalise and volunteer coach. The shooter nearly pulled off a massacre. I was there because he fervently believed the false and inflammatory rhetoric spewed by Bernie and other Democrats, such as the Republican health care plan for the uninsured is that you die. As this avowed Bernie supporter shot Steve Scalise, nearly killing him, and shot one of our coaches and 2 or 3 of our staff, he screamed, this is for health care. Ask me or anyone if that's incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Cory Booker incited violence when he called for his supporters to get up in their face of Congress people, a very visual and specific incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Maxine Waters incited violence when she literally told her supporters, and I quote, that if you see a member of the Trump administration at a restaurant, at a department store, at a gas station, or any place, you create a crowd and you push back on them. Is that not incitement? My wife and I were pushed and surrounded and screamed at by this same type of mob that Maxine likes to inspire. It's terrifying to have a swarm of people threatening to kill you, cursing at you, and literally holding you hostage until police come to your rescue. That night we were assaulted by the crowd. I wasn't sure if we'd survive even with the police protection. But no Democrat has ever considered impeaching Maxine for her violent rhetoric. In fact, Republicans, to our credit, have never once thought it legitimate to formally censor or impeach these Democrats. No Republican has sought to use the government to hold these Democrats responsible for Antifa and Black Lives Matter violence that has consumed our cities all summer, resulting in over $1 billion of destruction, looting, and property damage. Not one Republican said, oh, let's impeach the Democrats who are inciting this, because it would be ridiculous. Many on the Democrat side of the aisle cheered them on. Kamala Harris famously offered to pay the bill for those who are arrested. I wonder if she'll be brought up on charges of inciting violence for that now that she's vice president. Should Kamala Harris be impeached for offering to pay for violent people to get out of jail who've been burning our cities down? No. And no Republican has offered that, because we're not going down the road that Democrats have decided, this low road of impeaching people for political speech. Should Republicans impeach the Democrat mayor of Seattle, who incited and condoned violence by calling the armed takeover of part of her city a summer of love? Any Republicans try to impeach her? On June 8th, the New York Post, citing U.S. Justice Department statistics, reported that more than 700 law enforcement officers were injured during the Antifa Black Lives Matter riots. There were at least 19 murders, including 77-year-old retired police officer David Dorn. Yet Democrats insist on applying a test of incitement to a Republican that they refuse to apply to themselves. I want the Democrats to raise their hands if they have ever given a speech that says, take back, fight for your country. Who hasn't used the words fight figuratively? And are we going to put every politician in jail? Are we going to impeach every politician who has used the words fight figuratively in a speech? Shame. Shame on these angry, unhinged partisans who are putting forth this sham impeachment, deranged by their hatred of the former president. Shame on those who seek blame and revenge and who choose to pervert a constitutional process while doing so. I want this body on record, every last person here. Is this how you think politics should be? Look, we've now got crazy partisans on the other side of the aisle trying to censor and remove two of the Republican senators for their political position. Now, look, I disagreed. I don't think Congress should overturn the Electoral College. But impeaching or censoring or expelling a member of Congress you disagree with? Is the truth so narrow that only you know the truth? We now have the media on your side saying there is only one set of facts, one set of truth, and you can only interpret it this way. Now we have 7 senators on the other side trying to expel, censor, or impugn 2 senators on this side. And I defend them, not because I defend their position. I disagreed with their position. But you can't impeach, censor, expel people you disagree with. What's this coming to? In a few minutes, I will insist on a vote to affirm that this proceeding we are about to enter is unconstitutional, that impeachment of a private citizen is illegal and essentially a bill of attainder, and that no sense of fairness or due process would allow the judge in the proceeding to be a partisan Democrat already on favor of the impeachment. A sham, this is, a travesty, a dark blot on the history of our country. I urge my colleagues to reconsider this kangaroo court and move forward to debate the great issues of our day. With that, I'd like to relinquish the last moment or two of my time to a senator from Wisconsin.
Okay, so on the screen, you're seeing the Republicans when Rand Paul put forth his bill to dismiss on constitutional grounds. You're seeing the Republicans who voted no. They wanted to go ahead with this impeachment that has no constitutional standing whatsoever. Now, don't get me, Rand, what he said there, I agree with a lot of it, and I disagree with a lot of it. You see, that's how it works. You can agree and disagree and have an argument in the free arena of ideas, and you can bounce things off each other, and you can come to a compromise. But that's not what we do. No, what we do is what we do with the masks I was just talking about a minute ago. It's we say, oh, we have to put 3 masks on. So the Republicans say, no, only 2. And then the Democrats say, no, we want 3. And then the Republicans say, no, only 2. And it's not even constitutional that they can say you can have to put 1 mask on. But here we are. Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. Rand Paul saying, did we go after these people for doing what they did when they called out their minions on us? No, because that would be wrong. I disagree, Rand. We should go after them. Every last one of them. We should go after them on constitutional grounds. For maybe they didn't incite an insurrection. They created an insurrection. Maybe they colluded. You know, you said that you didn't want to vote against the Electoral College. But what if the Electoral College was stolen by the Chinese with the help of the Democrats? Shouldn't we at least look into that? Shouldn't we at least be curious on what happened? How was it possible that more people voted than there are registered voters in the United States of America? Doesn't that make you go, So, although I agree with Rand Paul and a lot of what he said, I have disagreements also, but that's called America. And at least Rand Paul stands firm on what he believes. instead of wandering all over the place. So I got one more little audio clip I want to play for y'all. And y'all, I have a love-hate relationship with Glenn Beck. Sometimes this guy really gets me fired up, and sometimes he really gets me pissed off. And I don't know where he's coming from sometimes. And he'll put his little chalkboards together and he'll talk about things. And you're like, yes, yes. And then he'll just ignore what he said the other day and go to something else. And But the other day, he finally let it loose. And I want you to hear what he has to say.
For the last few days, I have, and I think you feel the same, had a gut punch. And I've been trying to put my finger on it, and I've been trying to figure out what to say to you and how to say it. And I think I just have to say it like this. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. I am worn out. I am fed up. I've had enough. I am tired of exposing corruption, doing our homework, going overseas and having documents translated to make sure they're exactly right, presenting the evidence. We know what's happening, except then once we expose it, nothing happens. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody pays for a damn thing anymore. Nothing. If you and I did half the things that people in Washington do every day, you and I would go to prison. Clinton got away with it. Even the left knew that the Clinton Foundation was dirty. They sold uranium to our biggest enemy, Russia. Nothing. No. She can take confidential, top secret emails and put them on her server at her home. Something you and I would go to prison for. We would be in prison for the rest of our lives. Not a big deal. Benghazi? No. Not only did we show you that we were gun running to a group in Syria that became ISIS, that's what we were doing in Benghazi. Not only that, but just the killing of a U.S. ambassador, and, might I point out, on Veterans Day, we abandoned our troops. Did anything happen? Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. Nothing. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of actually being open and saying, okay, well, let's look into the spying on this presidential candidate. That's a pretty hefty charge. Were they doing it? And then finding out, yes, they were, and nothing happens. He was colluding with Russia. My gosh. That should be the biggest scandal of all time if that were true. If it wasn't true, and it was started, and evidence, paperwork even showed that they knew, all the way to the White House, you'd think that would be even a bigger story. Lying to the FISA courts, nothing. Creating an enemies list, nothing. Using our own intelligence agencies to assist in this operation, spending millions of dollars on a claim they knew that wasn't true. The collusion on Russia, they knew it before the president was ever elected. The scandal, the loss of billions of tax dollars in Ukraine, no big deal. The lies and the collusion with the Obama administration in Ukraine, no big deal. Hunter Biden, forget about Burisma. What was that, $7 billion? Ha, who cares? Look at Hunter Biden and his father in China. Oh, but we don't have any proof of that. Yes, we do. We have all the proof anyone who cares to be honest needs. We have all the documents on his own freaking laptop, which have been verified for people that were working with him, who were Democrats that had those same emails on their computer. Nothing. The scandal of our Justice Department, the deep state, which I didn't believe in 4 years ago. My gosh, you've got to be dead. and probably voting in the last election if you don't see the deep state.
Yep.
The corruption of our media telling us to deny our own eyes. There's a car on fire, and they're like, oh, nothing's happening here. It's totally peaceful. There's a car on fire behind you, but we're not supposed to notice that. Good has been made evil, and evil is made good. They ask you now to don't believe your own eyes, believe us. Our country is being torn apart on the streets by radicals who are marching with no Trump, no Biden, no America signs. But don't worry about that. This is just a peaceful group. Really? Our children are being indoctrinated with all kinds of crap, telling them that they're racist because of the color they were born with. The teachers' unions completely out of control. The lies of Black Lives Matter, Inc., and no one seems to care. No one seems to care that Black Lives Matter is actually a corporation. That Black Lives Matter, on their own manifesto, said they wanted to destroy the nuclear family. But that's all fine. Antifa? No, they're not wild in the streets. That's only an idea. Yeah, kind of like Nazism was an idea. But yet, if you support the Constitution, if you just say, I want a fair and legal count, you're a radical. You're an anti-government zealot. I've had it. I've had enough. I almost didn't make the show last week because this is what I wanted to say to you. Except it would have been followed with, so see you later.
How many of y'all feel like that? How many of you did Glenn Beck accurately depict how you feel? You see it with your own eyes. You watched the fraud happen. You watched it as the guy on CNN or Fox News or one of them was with their live tallying of the votes, and all of a sudden Joe Biden's went up by 2,000 and Trump's went down by 2,000. And how do votes go down when you're counting one for Joe and one for Trump and one for Joe and one for Trump? Let's just take away a couple from Trump and give them to Joe. How does that happen? You watched it live, and now you're going, what the heck is going on in our country? As they stand there and they tell us that this faux president is the president when he can't even get 3 words out in a sentence. How many of you feel like what Glenn Beck just said? Because I sure do. I mean, he summed it up better than I could. Let me tell you something, friends. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why do I keep saying that? Because it says, when he said to Moses, when Moses said, who are you? He said, I am. But he also said, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is what he wants to be called. So the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is still on the throne. He's still a miracle worker. And yes, I know miracles don't happen all the time, but if they happened all the time, they would be normal, not a miracle. That God that is still on that throne, that God that parted the Red Seas and brought fire down on the altar during Elijah time, that God who set the Israelites free from Persia and Babylon, that God who was there when I told the story of Esther and turned the situation around just like that. That God who was there for David when he fought the bear and the lion and the giant. That God who was there when I think it was Peter or a couple of disciples were walking in to the temple there, and the lame man was sitting there begging for silver, and they said, silver and gold I have none, but in the name of Jesus Christ, get up and walk. And he did. That God who called Lazarus, even though he was dead 4 days, but Lord, he stinketh. That God who called him out of the tomb that God when he walked up to the family that just lost that little girl. And the mourners were out there crying, just like you are, mourning for your country. It's over. It's done. We can do nothing. It's dead. The republic is gone. The Chinese flag has raised above us. It's over. There's nothing we can do. You cry out for your country. Like at a funeral. Because all is lost. They were crying out for that little girl. And when Jesus was there, the God of the universe said, "Why are you upset? The nation is only asleep. The little girl only asleep." And he walked in and he told her to wake up, and she did. That God is still on his throne. Two nations in this entire world since Noah. I don't know what was before Noah. Two nations exist for the servitude of God. Israel was chosen by God and made a nation by God by the blessings of Abraham. And the United States of America, which chose God to serve. Our founding fathers did that on purpose. In our Declaration of Independence, it says our rights come from God. That God still exists. He is still on his throne. And he says it's not over yet. Kim Clement's prophecies are only half true. There's another half to come. I don't know how it's going to work. I was listening to a couple of the other more modern prophets of the day. They're all saying the same thing. It's still coming. God's going to work his miracle. It doesn't matter what you see with your eyes. It doesn't matter what you hear with your ears. God is still on his throne. And if he can raise that little girl from the dead, or he can call Lazarus back from the tomb, this is a piece of cake. If he can take his son and put him on a cross and lay him dead for 3 days and raise him up to glory to sit on a right hand where he makes his enemy his footstool. This ain't nothing for God. And these people who mock God, who stood there on that inauguration day wearing colors that even talked about in Revelation, looking like Hunger Games. Declaring unity while talking about eliminating their political enemies. Who spit in God's eye, who deny God's existence, who say they will kill the little children for convenience. These people who are bent on the destruction of this country and turning it over to something that was never meant to be, giving this country over to the godless communists, where communism becomes your God. God is not going to have this. This will not stand. And I don't know when, and I don't know how. It could be tomorrow, could be the next day, could be next week, next year. I don't know. But this will not stand. God is not finished with us yet. So have faith. There is more yet to come. And for some reason, and I don't know why, the lights were out at the White House again. I don't know. I don't know. I know the Patriots are in control, 17 says. I don't know, but I know God's in control. And I'll trust in God, no matter what. And I will say it every time I come live. Have faith, because when God moves, the world will change and everybody will know it. be ready because he's promised it. It's coming. You guys have a great day. Share this video. They've been muting me down. They'll probably kick me off again. Who knows? Catch me on Rumble. Catch me on MeWe. I'm on Telegraph. I still ain't got that down yet. I'm on Gab. I'm over there. That's all Patriot Mike or Mike Patriot or something along that lines. You can find me. You guys have a great day. I will catch you later. I'm going to go out and shovel some snow. Talk to y'all later. Share my videos.